Welcome to the Leaner, Stronger, Smarter podcast. Here we discuss the strategies, the tools, and the systems so you can look leaner and feel stronger by training smarter. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to do this.
Me too. Thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome.
So my struggles right now are really with nutrition.
Perfect.
I'm really struggling, and so my main thing is, how do you change your body composition when you're not so focused on weight loss, right? I'm not trying to lose weight. Even if I gain a few pounds, it doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to convert the fat into muscle, and I don't know how to do that.
My goal here is to better understand you, to make sure we dial in exactly what you're looking for and exactly what are your struggles between. Isa, how can I lose fat, not weight? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Perfect. So when women come to me, normally they have this problem like, Isa, how can I lose fat but not lose weight? So is this what are you looking for?
Yes.
Perfect. And let me ask you, how long for this has been going on?
Oh gosh, I've been trying on my own on and off for 4 years to try to figure this out. The challenge is, similar to the video you did on workouts where you explained the bunny, right? The bunny that does different workouts. It's the same with nutrition. I read something, I try it. I read something else, I try that the next week. And then it's like, I'm not really trying anything consistently. I'm just trying 10 different things and then hoping something works. But that can't work, right? Because you're trying 10 things at once.
I love that. So you're my nutrition bunny. So this has been going on for 4 years, but you sent me a before and after picture. I see that you had a great result.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I can actually back up even all the way to the beginning. So growing up, there was no focus on eating healthy. There was no focus on nutrition. My parents were working immigrants. So it was like snacks would be breakfast. If I wanted whatever during the day, I would have it. There was no ever any conversation about healthy eating, right? I just got lucky that I was just a small person by nature, that I have been skinny my whole life for as long as I can think of. Like maybe I had great metabolism, I don't know, or maybe that was just genetics. So I've always been underweight or skinny. And even after I had kids, I didn't gain a lot of weight. I lost it pretty quickly after they were born. But then something happened. I feel like after age 35, that sticks with me. I don't know if it means anything. Maybe it's all in my head. But after age 35, my job involves me sitting in front of a desk all day. I wasn't doing anything. And I should also say I've never worked out before. Like no sports, no athletics. There was no focus on any of that either growing up. So after 35, it just felt like, since I was sitting at a desk all day, not moving that much, and my bad eating habits, it all eventually caught up to me, right? So I was gaining weight, and I was in denial because I've always been skinny. So in my mind, I was still skinny. Like I couldn't even see in the mirror and see that I was gaining weight. Like people had to tell me, like, hey, you've gained weight, and I'm like, oh, I'm fine, but I wasn't.
How did you feel when they would say that? You would not see?
I wasn't, honestly, I was in denial for a while, I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, yeah, it's a few pounds, no big deal. Didn't think about it. But then it was a big deal. Like I had gained a lot of weight, and I wasn't even buying new clothes. I was like trying to fit into these clothes that don't fit. Right. And then I got to a point where it got really bad, because then I would look at pictures and I was like, oh, I don't like the way I look anymore. Who is this person? And then I didn't want to take pictures. So it went down a bad path, right? Because I was like, this is not who I am. Then, finally I got to a point where I was like, I need to do something. I don't know what that something is, but I need to do something. And it just happened to be that I was scrolling through Facebook one day, and there was this program that was being offered. It was, there was a new location opening up close to my house. This was 4 years ago. I remember because it was in February, and I was like, you know what? It's a new location opening up. I have nothing to lose. Let me go try it. So they were offering like a kickoff class, like just to try for people to see. And Isa, I've never worked out. This was like 45 minutes. And I was like, dying after 45 minutes. It was it was like high intensity.
Oh goodness.
And I was like, this is so hard, but the energy of the trainer and the people that were there and everything, and I was like, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to try this, and it was a 10-week program, and incorporated working out 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. It was a class, Monday to Friday. And they had a 4-stage nutrition plan. And I was like, you know what? It's 10 weeks. I'm going to give it all I've got for 10 weeks. It's like in your mind, you can mentally commit to a time. And, I was like, I didn't tell anybody about it. My husband was the only one that knew, because I was like, what if I quit on day 2? I can't tell somebody, because what if I don't follow through? But in my mind, I was like, I'm going to do it. So I did it. So that was the before and after picture that I sent you. After 10 weeks, I lost 25 pounds. I did the workouts. I got to a point where I was actually going twice a day, because I just loved the energy and I loved the classes.
When you were going twice a day, were you training twice a day, or you would go just, okay?
Yeah, because it was a 45-minute class. So I would go in the morning, and then I would do another one like early afternoon. And I did it. So I trained 5 days a week.
Let me ask you a question. Were you doing this because you love the energy, or because you think if you work harder, you would lose more?
So it was a little bit of both, I think. So I definitely love the energy, but I was seeing results too, right? So then I was like, oh, I'm seeing results. But I don't know if it was from the nutrition, if it was from the workout. It was probably from both, to be honest, because when you're sitting at a desk all day and now you're doing something, right? And you're doing high intensity, it was definitely a combination of both. I know they say it's 80% nutrition, and I was definitely focused, like for that. I was like, I'm going to do this for 10 weeks. And, I really was really good with my meal prepping, my planning. I would make a list and, do all the right things. But then what happened was, after I was done, I lost the 25 pounds. It felt great. And I was skinny again, but I was still skinny fat. Like I wasn't toned. I was like, I still had the loose skin, and, the tummy area still had the fat. And I was like, okay, well, that's great.
Weight.
Yes, I lost weight. I didn't gain muscle. I didn't,
And it was exactly 4 years ago. And then
because I started in February.
Perfect. 4 years ago. And then after the 10 weeks, you lost the 25 pounds, but you realized that you didn't change your body composition. You just lost weight. Now my question is, from the 4 years to now, have you gained some of that weight back?
So after that 10 weeks, when I lost the weight, honestly, I was too skinny. I didn't even want to be that weight. It was too much. I think I hit everything so hard at once that I was like, it was great to get the results, but that's not the results I wanted anyway. And towards the end, because, I mentioned it's a 4-stage nutrition plan, I couldn't even make it through that 4th stage, because for me, they had taken away, the program, I don't think was designed for vegetarians. So there was not much left for me to eat. Like I felt like I was doing more shakes and things like that. I was struggling as a vegetarian because I didn't know how to get the protein in through my plant sources, right? And because they already cut down the fat and the carbs, I'm like, what's left? I don't think it was the right state. I mean, and the intent is not to be in that stage for a long time. You're only supposed to be there for 2 weeks, but I couldn't even do the 2 weeks. But so anyway, I got really skinny. I didn't want to stay at that. So since then I have gained like 8 to 10 pounds, but I'm happy with that. Like that's good. Like, even if I gain a few more, I'm okay with that. I want that toned look. It's like, I'm not stuck on a number on a scale.
Good.
I'm stuck on the body fat number. Like the fact that it's still 32%. I'm like, why is it 32%? Nobody believes me when they see me, because in clothes, you can't tell, but you can tell. Like I can tell. Like
you can tell. Have since after that 10-week, how often do you train now? How often? Is that
so that was a journey. So that was a journey in itself. So after that, since I didn't want to lose more weight, I wanted to try something else. So my husband and I joined a traditional gym. And then that's why when I first saw your video where you talked about the bunny, that still resonates with me, because that's what I was. We joined this big gym, and there were all these classes. I didn't know any different. So I was like, I'll take this class today, I'll take this class tomorrow. So I would still train 5 days a week. But one day I was taking a barbell strength class. The next day I was taking cardio kickboxing. There was no rhyme or reason, right? I was just, this sounds interesting, so I'll do it. So I maintained that weight for actually a while before I started gaining just a little bit. So, like I mentioned, that from that 4 years ago to now, I've gained 10 pounds, but it's not like the 10 pounds came back.
Do you have an idea of that time? What is, did you have an body in that time when you lost? Did your percentage body fat change with the 10 pounds that you gained?
So yeah, the percentage body fat was about, when I first lost the weight, it was around 30 to 31%. And then as I gained pounds over, and this is over like probably, 6-8 months, maybe even a year, as I gained the weight, because I was doing more strength classes, it's still not, it's not true strength, because I mean, barbell strength class, you can only lift so much, right?
Exactly.
In a timed class.
Perfect.
But even then, maybe it went down to 28%, maybe body fat, but it didn't stay that way. Then I just kept going back up. That's why I think truly for me, it's nutrition. I just don't have like the right focus on protein. And, that's why I'm trying to read a lot on macros now and understand, what I should be eating, because what happens is, and it, over the 4 years, it's been consistent. What happens is I'm not that hungry throughout the day, because I'm working and I'm in meetings and I'm busy and I'm not thinking about it, right? And then what happens is by 5 o'clock, I'm famished, and then there's no plan. And then I'm grabbing anything. I'm like, okay, well, while I get dinner together, let me have this bag of chips, or let me have these cookies, right? All the bad things. And then I'm like, I feel like I haven't eaten enough calories during the day, that even after dinner, when my husband and I are watching TV at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, then I want things, because then here I am sitting there watching TV. Now I want the junk food, and then I eat the junk food because I'm hungry, right? I haven't had enough calories throughout the day. So I don't have a good plan, because remember when I think when I did that program and I lost the weight, obviously I wasn't like, I was in a calorie deficit. So I think I've just been trained to eat that way now, and it's not the right way to eat.
Let's go. There's so many things that I want to talk to you. Okay. Few things that I point out that I wrote down that you mentioned that I want to attack all of them. Okay. So I think the number one that got my attention when you mentioned was the nutrition being 80-20. 80% of your results is from nutrition, 20% of your training. I'm going to say something different.
Okay.
I truly believe nutrition is 100%.
100. Oh, wow.
Hold on. Let me go. Nutrition is 100%. Training is 100%.
Oh, okay.
Sticking to the plan, meaning having consistent, is 100%. Okay. So, and why do I say that? Yes, if you're training a lot, but you don't have the nutrition to sustain your training, you're not going to be able to perform well. What you did is, I'm going to say with bottom of my heart, please don't do that again. The fact that you were training twice a day on a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So that's why you lost your weight, but you lost weight. You didn't lose fat. So we'll talk about this in a little bit, but let me continue. So the idea of seeing you training, really, really training. Like if you think about what is calories for our bodies, calories is energy. The amount of energy we have to spend, the amount of calories you have to spend. If you think about, this is such a common misconception that so many people have, is the fact that you think you're going to burn the calories that you eat. I'm not saying that that's exactly what you thought about it, but if you burn the calories that you eat, you never win this battle. Let me explain this way. If I decided to eat a cookie that has 100 calories, in order to me burning 100 calories, I have to walk for 45 minutes. So there's not enough time in the day to us burn that calorie, that amount of calorie that we're eating. Okay, that's one thing, one first thing that we need to put it out there. You can never outwork a bad diet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And what I say about bad diet is not just necessarily eat junk food, but a a a, a diet that will not sustain what are you trying to accomplish. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. That's one. The second would be when you're thinking about training and you think about lifting heavy and you think about really pushing your body to a way that you end up putting the impact on your muscle so we can grow more muscle. Okay. If you're in a very low calorie deficit, there's no way you can perform that well.
Yeah.
So even though your body had the extra, the extra weight, the extra fat, being too low on a calorie deficit, it would make your body end up burning your own muscles as a fuel. That's why when you lose weight, think about this. If I lose weight, what I am losing? I'm losing fat, I'm losing water, I am losing muscle.
Mm.
And if you think about the percentage body fat, so let's think this way. Let's I'm going to use round numbers to make my life easier. So you have 100 pounds, but you have 10% body fat, that you have 10 pounds of fat. That means you have 10% of body fat, right?
Yep.
If I have 200 pounds and I have 20, if I get that 100 and I multiply for 200, and if I multiply the percentage, it will still be the same ratio.
Yep.
But what we want, and that's what happened to you. You lost 20 pounds, but the fat's still the same, right? It changed just a little bit. And what we're trying to understand here is, how do I drop the percentage body fat? And when you start talking and you're like, I'm not stuck on my scale number, I'm stuck on my percentage body fat. I had a huge smile, because this is what I need to people understand. It's not the weight on the scale, it's the percentage body fat.
Yeah.
It was not your case, but if you're a case that somebody needs to lose 100 pounds, they need to lose 70 pounds. Yes, the number on the scale would be important. But what we're trying to accomplish in your case, and that's normally what I do with my girls, is okay, how can we lower the percentage body fat? And the weight will change. But to be honest, some of them, in your cases, will be the last 10 pounds, the last 7 pounds. It's not going to change much. And that's something that not a lot of people understand. And so many women get so upset and frustrated with the number on the scale. But I have girls that completely change their bodies, And the difference on the scale is not that much. It's not that much. In my body, for example, if I lose, because now I'm losing really fast because I have to eat the amount of food to keep up my body. I have to eat so much. And sometimes I don't eat as much and I end up losing. So if I lose 2 pounds on the scale, I look completely different.
Oh, wow.
I took a picture, then I put side by side. I'll eventually post it. And or I can put it here. I look completely different. And it was 2 pounds different. Because one photo I was like strong. Another one I was just like skinny. And like you said, it happened to you to get to a point that you end up looking skinny, but you're not toned.
Right.
And you said something that was interesting. You called skinny fat. And I use that word sometimes. Skinny fat is that person that you look great in clothes, but once when you put a bikini, or a short, you see that you have not saying it's your case, but you have a good amount of cellulite, or you have no tone on your muscles, and you're not looking lean, because looking lean is to have a lower percentage body fat, high percentage of muscle. Okay. And so many women come to me and say, Isa, but I am scared to gain muscle because I don't want to look bulky. And I always say that It's so hard for us to gain volume of muscle. It's so hard. If you look to a CrossFit athlete, in order to her become that way, she had to eat so much food, so much food. She had to, most of them, they use some type of steroids, which is, it's sad to say, but it's more common than you think.
Okay.
Because our level of testosterone, it's very different for men. Our level of testosterone can go from 4 to 40 and you still be in the right range. So some women, some high athlete, they would do some cycles, but they're still on that range because the range is so long. So that's why they end up gaining that, that volume, that really, like, you see a really big woman in six pack, that's more volume that she got it. But if you, some women come to me and say, oh, Isa, when I start working out, I gain muscle really quick. I get bulky. And my answer is always like, no, you don't. You're eating enough. So when you eat too much, the wrong foods, and then you're training, you're still keeping the fat. And like when you see a woman with like a big arm, but it's not like that defined arm, it's not lean, that's the percentage body fat they're not moving.
Yeah.
So great, we talk about this, we talk about the 80/20. And I love that you mentioned the bunny two times. Let me just give a, for everybody that was watching, let me just give a little bit of background on the bunny. Last year we did an event. It was awesome. It was so good. We're getting ready to do another one the end of the month. So we did, from times to times we do this. We did an event where I talk about the bunny, which is all, it's a common mistake that women does. And I love it. I remember when we finished the class, you came back, you sent me a message saying, "You are me. You're
Yeah.
inside my head." And that was so amazing because so many class loving women, they would go to the classes and they will hop between classes, but there's no focus. There's no plan. And how you know, so for example, if you were studying for a test, and if you, what do you do for work?
I'm a project manager.
Perfect. You were studying for in school for being a project manager. How do you know you learn? Because you took tests, right? And you stop and you look the score of your test and you're like, oh, I need this area, I need to get better, this area I need to get better. If we do just classes, random classes, we are moving our bodies, which is amazing. We have to move our bodies, but there's no plan. How would you know that I came from here to here to here to here? How do you know that today I am squatting 70 pounds? Me, Isadora, I use 70 pounds dumbbell to do 8 squats. Okay. 2 months ago, I was doing 65 for 10. Next month, I'm going to go to a 75 and I'm probably not going to be able to do 8. I'm going to do 7. But eventually, when I get to 8, oh, hold on. That means I got stronger. If I can lift heavier and do the same amount of reps, I am getting stronger. So that's the way we go. So talking about quick about the training so we can dive in nutrition, that's why I said training is 100%. I want you to think about, okay, how am I going to be able to track? How I'm going to be able, I'm becoming stronger? How I'm going to track to see if I'm going in the right direction? Because you, in order to build the muscle, and that's what I say is 100% and 100%. In order to build the muscle, you need to have the right stimulus on the muscle, because you can't build a muscle that it doesn't have the micro tears. So what does a workout do? The training do is we create tiny little tears in your muscle. And once you create tiny little tears in your muscles, once we eat the protein, would go there and repair those little tears. And it will make the muscle stronger and it will start creating volume because they're fixing those, the little workers will go there and fix it. So if you just focus on the nutrition, but you're not doing the right stimulus, you're going to have a good amount of muscle, but a good amount of protein on your diet, but there's nothing to fix. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm so glad. Hold on. Good. So now your question was, how can I do this? And okay, so I understand. We understand now that the idea would be have a training plan, so you know how to adjust that. So now the food and the fact you are vegetarian, it's not impossible. Absolutely not. It's just a little trickier because the most protein source that we find as a plant-based protein source, they do have a little bit of carbs as well. And I'm
Yep.
gonna say here before anybody says anything, I am not saying carbs are bad. No, absolutely not. 100%. We, in order to do body recomposition, in order to lower the percentage of the body, percentage fat of the body, we need carbs. We absolutely need carbs. Okay.
Yep.
Lower carb diet, even keto, it needs to be seen as a strategy. It needs to be seen as I'm going to use this for 2 weeks, like you mentioned. 2 weeks, I'm going to use this as a strategy. After 2 weeks, I get you out of that and I put you in a more sustainable way. Because what we're trying to do once you achieve your lean body, the game here is going to be how can we maintain in a
Yep.
way that you'll be able to maintain, right? But when we get there, so the idea is you do need a good amount of protein in your diet. And one thing that you mentioned that sometimes I sit on my desk and I work all day and I get busy and I don't focus on my food.
Yep.
Now, let me tell you a quick story. I started fully working from home, right? And I have never sat in my life the way I'm sitting. It's it's scary what's going on. And you mentioned that you're like, once I hit 35, that's when I start sitting the most, and then boom, it happened, right?
Yep.
And what I want you to think about is the amount of calories that we burn in a day. It's very, very important. We don't need 2 workouts a day, but we do need stand up a little bit. We need to do some mobility. I often go over there, grab my foam roller and just foam roll in the middle of the day.
No?
Just so I
Okay.
can remind my body that hey, this sitting position that we're doing right now, it's not the way we're supposed to do. Because our muscles is so interesting. They don't work as elastic bands. They're not like my hairband that goes and come back. They're
Yep.
like more plastic bags. When you pull in a plastic bag, the plastic bag doesn't come back. So when the plastic bag doesn't come back, we need to have the stimulus to say, hey, my butt, you don't supposed to be stretched that way. So that's where the foam roller comes, and it would send a message to your nervous system to say, hey, can you tell that muscle to go back to normal length? So that's so, so important. Now, thinking about how can we tie that to food is creating little systems for you that will allow you get more food throughout the day, even when you're sitting. So the first thing that I do with the girls when they come in, if they're if they're drinking water, or most of them they're not drinking enough water, we make a system that as soon as they sit down, they have to have a water in front of them,
Okay.
because they will reach out to the water without being so conscious about it. If it's in front of you, you will drink. If you have to get up, you have to go in the fridge, you have to pour a glass, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
little systems like that, even for food. So now you're like, oh, I spend the whole day without eating. Putting a alarm on your phone, which not just the alarm is enough. Putting a reminder on your phone that in 5 minutes your alarm is going to go off. How old are your kids?
They're 9 and 11.
Perfect. When not now, because now they're like really nice and grown. They really
Yeah.
think they're all grown up. But when they were little, I remember my sister, my brother doing that a lot with my nephews. It was like, hey, you have 5 minutes. You give them a heads up. But we don't do that to ourselves.
No, we
I
don't.
want you, put a reminder on your phone saying in 5 minutes, you have to get up and have a snack. So now your brain knows that in 5 minutes, you actually have to get up and go get a snack. Because the alarm, if just the alarm goes off, most likely if you're busy, you're going to be like off, continue to work. If this still happens, another way you can do is keep on your desk, not in front of you, because if not, you're going to snack without thinking, but close to you in a way that you don't see it, in a drawer or something, like a snack. So by the time the watch, your clock goes, you open and you have your snack. In your case, snacks more protein based. Okay. When you mentioned that you're vegetarian, are you fully vegetarian? Do you eat fish? Do you eat eggs? Or are you 100% plant-based?
Okay. So I don't eat seafood or fish. I do eat eggs. I do dairy. So even my protein shakes that I have are whey protein shakes. So they're not plant-based.
Perfect.
So the whey is fine. So I'm trying, like I said, over the past few weeks, I've been doing a lot of research on the internet to find the good protein sources. So, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, low-fat Greek yogurt, eggs, tofu. I have tofu, beans, lentils.
Good.
The thing is, it's just, I'm sorry?
Edamame?
Yep, I eat that too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I have that. What I started doing last week was I started adding a second protein shake in the late afternoon around it could be either like 4 o'clock or it could be after dinner. So it's helped with the snacking at night. Now I'm not reaching for the cookies and the chips. So that's helped just to get that boost at the end of, towards the end of the day.
Have you ever tracked your macros on like MyFitnessPal, for example?
I did it for a little while, a few months ago, but it was, just to see, and it was eye-opening how few calories I was having and how off the protein was. And that's when I started, I was like, okay, I really need to change what I'm doing, because it was definitely higher on the carbs and fat and not as much on the protein. But overall, even the calorie count was low. And I was like, gosh, I need to eat more too. I don't know how to do that. So I like the reminders, just kind of a conscious cue to eat, because it is oftentimes I'm just in meetings, and then, even after work, I'm running around taking the kids to their activities, and I may grab a couple of nuts and it sustains me for a little bit, but it's not much, it's not that much food. And that's why, and I see it too, towards the end of the day. So I always work out in the morning. If I don't work out in the morning, it's not happening. So it's always in the morning. Usually, by 10 o'clock, the workout has happened. So, but then what happens is by usually like 5 or 6 o'clock, I feel tired, like I'm lethargic, and it's probably, I haven't given my body fuel, it's true. So like the boost of the nuts or, a quick little snack gives me enough to go, but it's not sustainable, to do that.
Because if you think about it, our car, we're not going to run without the gas, without the fuel. Our body's not going to run without the food. And sometimes we really forget about how food does to our body. Food is actually the energy. I was recently talking to one of my girls, and I was having this conversation with her. I was like, often people think when they look at food, the only thing they can see is this food good or this food is bad for me? Is this food going to make me lose weight? This food is going to make me gain weight. But we have to go beyond this, especially if you are in a position that you're not overweight. You're trying to change your body composition. That is the key. It doesn't have any more, this good, it's going to make me gain weight, this is going to lose weight. We need to focus on, like you mentioned, the macros. And the macros, it's funny because until a few years ago, people were only talking about carbs, proteins, and fats. Now we talk about carbs as proteins, fats, carbs, but we talk about fiber and we talk about water. The same way we give the same attention to the other macros, because people are don't realize that if we don't do this, they would think, okay, so I have to eat 150 grams of carbs. I have to eat 100 grams of protein. Great. I'm going to eat a pizza where I will hit my carbs. And then for the protein, I would do something else. But we have to remember that the nutrients that we need, especially the fiber, are not going to come from processed food, are going to come from more. I call this the rule of one. The rule of one is you look to the food. If there's one ingredient, that's the rule of one. If I look to beans, it's going to have one ingredient. It's going to be beans. If I look to rice, it's going to be rice. If I look potato, it's going to be potato. But if I look to pasta, it's going to have more ingredients. If I look to banana, it's going to have one ingredient. But if I look to a banana bread, it's going to have more ingredients. So people are often focused on calories and how can I reach my macros, but they don't understand that even, look how important this is, even if you hit your calories in your macros, which is they're related, right? Because we know that 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories, 1 gram of fats is 9 calories. So even though if we hit both, if the quality of the food that we're eating, if they're not coming from the rule of one, you're not going to have the same results. And that's frustrating because nobody ever said that to us. They said that we had to hit the numbers. But it's a very, very different thing from, like we say, like a calorie is not a calorie. If I ask you to eat 100 grams of almonds that you like for a snack versus 100 grams of soda, which I'm just giving an example, they both have 100 calories. But they're both are not equal. They're not made equal because the almonds, it's going to have the oils that I need, the fat that I need. It's going to have the fiber that I need to help not spike my insulin. And when my insulin is high, I can build muscle. So, and now compared to the Coke, which is going to have sugar and nothing else good for me. So I want you to start focusing the quality of the food as well. Okay. I want you to start focus on getting your protein source throughout the entire day. And the main thing I want to tell you, you have to make time to eat during the busy work day. Even if you grab a protein bar, I said I like more rule of one. But if it gets to a point that you're not able to do it, a protein bar would do it. As long as it's like, grab those ones. I like those RX bar because at least you can see ingredients, right? Everything that is there, you can pronounce. So that's a good one. So by the time you get there and you're eating, now you're not feeling so low in energy. Because there's no way, if you don't eat, you're not going to feel as energized, right? And second is you're not going to be able to repair the muscles. And third, by the time I get 5 p.m., you're starving. And you want to eat anything in front of you.
Yes.
I am hungry, Hannah. We talk about hungry, Hannah. I am hungry, Hannah. If like this morning, we went for sushi last night, and I didn't have dinner because I was like, I ate a little bit more than I was supposed to. And I was like, I couldn't eat. So at night, I just made a cup of milk, put a little bit of protein powder and a drink, went to bed. By the time I started this morning, it was so crazy. I went to eat, it was 10 a.m. I felt so terrible. I was like, I have no energy. As soon as I ate, I was like, oh, I'm back. But imagine if you're doing that to your body every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've definitely made changes over the last week. I mean, it's only been a week, but already I can see a difference. You know, I see more energy. You know, like I said, I don't know if these are the right changes, but anything's better than what I was doing before, right? So it's a start.
Perfect.
But like I will have, I usually work out anywhere, like I said, between 6 and 9 a.m. in the
Mm-hmm.
morning. So that early in the morning, I don't like to eat anything before the
Okay.
work, especially if it's a 6 a.m. workout, right? I'm waking
Mm-hmm.
up, there's like, no. So I started making these protein energy ball things. So I just grab one and just have it in the car as I'm driving to the gym. At least it's something in my body.
Mm.
And then when I get home, I have a protein shake right away.
Perfect.
When I
What
get
do you put
home.
in the protein shake? Very important.
So I do a whey powder.
Mm-hmm.
I bought this. I was doing almond butter before, but I found this peanut butter powder. So I use that because it's less
Yeah, me
fat, but it
too.
still has the protein.
Yeah.
So I do the peanut butter powder, and sometimes that's it, and sometimes I'll add 1/3 banana, but the banana's not consistent.
Perfect. So, and for liquid, do you put water?
I put water. Yeah.
Perfect.
So that's what I do for the first one, and then as I mentioned, I added a second one. So the second one, it depends. If I feel like I need a little bit more, then instead of water, I'll add a little bit of oat milk. Because then it makes it a little, like, it almost feels like a little dessert too. Even though it's unsweetened oat milk, it's like thicker and creamier.
Yeah.
So then it feels like a little something, and then at least then I'm not reaching for that cookie that I always want.
One thing that I want to talk to you about the supplements is if we break down the word supplements, they supposed to supplement the protein that you're not getting from your diet.
Yeah.
If we can also increase the amount of protein on your diet from food, that would be a little bit better. Not a little bit better, would be better.
Yeah.
Because if I think about this, if I eat one egg, which you said you eat eggs, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. If I eat one egg, inside that egg, I'm going to have all 11 amino acids that I need, all 11 essential amino acids. If I go to my protein, I won't have all the amino acids that I need.
Oh, okay.
So it's not whey protein is a great protein. Supplements is a great to boost something. That's what I'm to supplement from. Ideally would be you're getting, I would say 95% of my girls, they are on some type of protein powder, but because their numbers is high, then it's physically impossible to eat that amount of food. But the fact that you tell me that I am doing 2, it means like we could come up with more nutrient dense food, meaning more food with proteins, instead of having to relate to another protein powder.
Okay.
I think it was 2019 when I was really trying to get a little bit more body. And because when I ended up losing the weight, that's what happened to you. I lost too fast. And then now I'm building my muscle. Now I'm on a point that I'm comfortable. Eventually I can do that a little bit more, gain more muscle. But when I was gaining more muscle, I got to a point that I was eating 6 eggs a day.
Oh, wow.
It got to a point that 3 in the morning, 3 at night, it got to a point that I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like it's too much. Yeah. And then I end up changing a little bit, but trying always to change to get to a point that I was doing casein at night, which is another type of protein that would make my body digest a little bit slower. So I would take before bed because then the digestion would be slower. So those are the things we need to change. So like, for example, if you, and it's okay when you mention, like, some people ask me, Isa, do I have to eat in the morning? My suggestion was like, if you can eat half of a banana to give that quick carb that you need, quick energy boost that you need, that would be awesome. Some of my girls are like, I can't eat, do not make me eat. And I say, okay, try 40 minutes before. And if they don't wake up enough, in your case, 40 minutes, I'll be like, okay, it's fine. But knowing that eventually you would have to change or have something at night, but by the time you wake up, you still have a good amount of glycogen stored. So you can train a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So now when you do that, by the time you get home, you do your protein, which is awesome. Ideally, just for the first one, don't even put anything else. Just go for the protein and the water. And I love saying that because the girls are like, but really, and I was like, it's just 8 ounces. Just close your nose, drink it, and go back to you. And then do you do breakfast?
Depends on the day. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So I'm trying to get a lot better. So I've been doing the past few days, I've been doing oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do oatmeal with just a little bit of granola in it,
Mm-hmm.
and just for some texture, some crunch. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
because oatmeal is just mushy otherwise. So I'll
Yeah.
do the the old fashioned oats with
Mm-hmm.
just cook it in water,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll add just cut up a little bit, maybe like 1/3 banana, and then a little bit of granola, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And then I'll have that.
Now,
Um,
oats has very little protein, which is oats is in my opinion, it's the top 2 or 3 carbs that we ever can eat. They're prebiotic. They're they're amazing. They're like amazing. But now, if you eat that, then again, you're lacking on the protein. Instead of using a full scoop, you can put two tablespoons of the protein powder. If you
okay.
have a protein powder that is like strawberry, it would look not good. But if you have like something like vanilla, I always have
Yeah.
2 types. I always have a vanilla in a different flavor.
Okay.
Because vanilla is, or even cookies and cream or something like that, because it's easier to you just dump on the oatmeal, and then we'll sweeten. Then it's gonna be a little bit like more sweet,
Okay.
and then you would have a good at least if you put half, you would have maybe 12 grams. It depends which protein you use, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So then you can do that. Another thing is, remember that I said fiber would count as a
Yep.
macro? Flaxseed or chia seeds.
Okay.
Add on, because the oats already have a great amount of fiber, but if you double up, that is going to make you feel more sustained, because now you have protein that makes you satiated. Now you have fiber that makes you satiated. And the fiber also, like I said, will prevent your insulin from spiking a lot. We want to prevent that. Okay.
Okay.
So now you're like, okay, now I have a breakfast that is more sustainable. If you get from the gym, have to run to work, have you tried overnight oats?
I have not. No.
Perfect. Do the oats the night before. Put in a glass jar, put everything in it. I would not, if you put the banana, I would even not put the banana, because then you have banana on top of oats. Okay. I would put, but you said the third is very small. Then yes, you
Yeah.
can do it. But if you want the fruit a little bit fresher, then you can put in the morning. But
Do you put the protein powder at night, or do you put that in the morning?
I put at night.
Oh, at night. Okay.
I don't have here, but sometimes I have jars that
Yep.
they're ready. They're
Okay.
completely ready. All the dry ingredients. So the only thing I need to do is grab it dry, put the water or the milk or the plant-based milk. I try oatmeal. I have here. I'm starting like trying the oatmeal. The only thing I don't like as much is it has 2 grams of protein instead of 6.
Okay.
But that's a whole story. So because that's why I'm also using the protein powder. So I put the milk, close the jar, put in the fridge.
Okay.
Some of my girls don't like it, the fact that it's cold. But then I put a little bit more milk, pop in the microwave, and then I have warm breakfast. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Now that's the systems that you said. Once you create systems,
Yeah.
it will make your life easier.
Okay.
Also, you can hard-boiled an egg the night before.
I actually do in the beginning of the week, I do 12 at a time in my Instant Pot. So I have it ready for the week. So for lunch, I usually do a pretty hearty salad with just a mix of broccoli and spinach and even some cut up apples. And then I'll usually do either 2 hard boiled eggs, which I just grab out of the fridge, cut them up and have them in my salad. Or I do Morningstar makes these chicken burgers, and obviously not chicken, they're veggie burgers. So I'll cook 2 of them and I'll put them in my salad for the protein boost.
Another thing, do you put any type of carb like quinoa or farro or sweet potatoes on the salad?
In the salad? No, I don't.
Put a little bit, because that will give you even more energy throughout the day. Small amount, put a little bit. And also you think about like, okay, in your case, we have to be creative. If I put just the 2 eggs, I have 12, because 6 grams of protein each egg normally. So I have 12 grams. But if I put like a quarter cup of edamame, boom, I have more.
Okay.
If I put a little bit other source, then I have more. Okay. I want you always thinking about that. And when you do the leaves, you mentioned the leaf, but I didn't hear. What was the leaves that you use?
So I do a little bit of broccoli, a little bit of spinach,
Perfect.
and
Go
then
for the dark.
carrots.
Perfect. Go for the
Yeah.
dark green leaves.
Okay.
Lettuce to me, it's not fair to compare lettuce to spinach, lettuce to kale.
Yeah, of
You
course.
know, kale is going to have so much more nutrients. Again, nutrient dense food. Kale
Okay.
is going to have too much nutrients, not about the calories, about the density of that food. So be more creative, put some kale. Okay, we have a little bit of protein, but combined to the other one. So now instead of eating 12 grams of protein for a salad, you have 20.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So by it, and the things that we did, like right now, just we increase a little bit on your, we did 12 on your oatmeal. We increased from like 12 to 20 on your lunch. So none of those changes, you had to change the way you eat.
Yeah.
It was just planning a little bit better, going for
Yeah.
those little things. Because that's the main idea. What we were trying to accomplish is how can I sneaky put more protein throughout my day? Because that's what you need in order to repair. Okay. And then
Yeah.
we can easily double your protein just this way, just by doing this.
Okay.
And for a snack, for example, put the alarm for the afternoon snack. You have a Greek yogurt. I actually just bought a Greek yogurt this week that had 25 grams of protein.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what brand is, but if you go there, it's just like a ion, I think. It's like 25 grams. The only thing weird that they didn't have regular sugar, they put alcohol sugar. So
Oh, okay.
I felt a little bit, I don't know if it was late at night when I ate, but I felt a little bit like burning, like it was weird on my body.
Oh,
Buy
okay.
one and try it, see if you like it.
Okay.
Always chia and flaxseed on it.
Interesting. Okay.
And remember, if you use flaxseed, you have to blend it because if not, they will come in, come out looking the same way.
Really?
In order to use the flaxseed, not the chia, the flaxseed, you actually have to break the seed. And we don't, when
Okay.
we chew, we don't break all of them. So we
Okay.
actually not using the nutrients that they have just because we forgot to blend. And if you
Okay.
blend, just blend a little bit, just regular blender, just a little bit for like every 2 days, 3 days, you just blend a little bit and keep it. Because if not, they would oxidize and lose the whole point. So it's just like those little details that once you adjust, you're gonna start seeing like
So blending it yourself, is that different than I've seen flaxseed powder? Is that the same?
yes, but remember that I said they don't last long.
Okay.
They will oxidize. So if you buy grounded, buy the gold one. They will last much, much longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But ideally is you buy the regular one or buy chia, regular one, blend it like using like 2 seconds, blend it really quick, make it powder, put it in a small container. I use those mason jar for everything. Do it and keep it at home. And every time you use it, and you should be using it every day. Because if we, and I love that you are already vegetarian, that meaning you do eat more amount of or vegetables and plant-based food, which has a lot of good fiber, but increasing the amount of fiber will always help. Absolutely
Okay.
help.
So I just started over the last week, I do put some flax seeds in my protein shake. So when
Mm-hmm.
I'm blending it, I do put some flax seeds in there. So I guess I never thought about it in the oatmeal, but that's a good idea.
Yeah, and even on the salad, on
Okay.
the dinner, I eat ground turkey and brown rice. I put it on top of it
Okay.
just to. By the time I finish eating, I'm like, okay, I'm more satiated.
What about hemp seeds? Do you use hemp seeds at all?
I haven't used, but I do have a lot of girls that all my plant based girls, I prescribe to them because it's a
Oh,
great way to get your protein number. But
okay.
that's something that I I haven't tried, like because I'm not plant based. Like I
Yeah.
would say that 60% of my food is from plants, from the rule of one,
Yeah.
right? I do, but I still eat a big amount of animal protein.
Okay.
Good. So the idea is, let's go back a little bit what we talk about. We talk about understanding about piece of the training, understand that the training is a huge part of the diet. The diet alone would not
Yeah.
I need a word for that. The diet alone would not just do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we talk about the food, increasing the amount of protein throughout your day in easy ways, just changing a few things. Okay. But at night, but if in the night will be the same thing. Okay. If you're eating something, and then by the night, if you feel that the necessity of snacking, okay, I know you have 2 kiddos at home, and I know that most likely they eat those things, right? The snacks. But you remember, you're the mom of the house. You're the one that go to the supermarket. So you're the one that if they grow up seeing, if they grow up seeing you guys eating more plant-based, they're gonna understand that that's the way you eat, right?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of girls that they're like, oh, but my partner, he's the one that buys the things. And I was like, okay, he's the one that buy the things. Have a conversation with him. Tell him like, hey, can you don't put right in front of me? Because if it's right in front of me, I'm going to eat it. The environment that we are is so important. It's going to dictate if you open your fridge and you always have your protein sources over there, your eggs are ready. Okay. You can also eat eggs for a snack. You eat egg for dinner. Okay. But remember that everything around you is going to help you. If I walk around the house and I have a bag of chips, every time I open my pantry, guess what I'm going to be eating?
Yeah.
Right? So I was
Yeah.
thinking about that. How can we create this environment that create those systems throughout the day that would help you sustain your results much better? Does that help?
No, absolutely helps, and I started doing some things. So like one thing that's really helped is a few days ago I made for the very first time I made overnight chia pudding. So I put chia seeds, oat milk, and protein powder. Same thing, like your overnight oats pretty much, right? But this was with chia seeds in a jar, and then I put it in the fridge overnight, and I made enough for 3 or 4 days, and it's delicious. It's so great, right? And has protein powder in it. And it's, I mean, that's it. It's 3 ingredients. It's just the milk.
The thing when you said the energy balls, right?
Yeah.
Great way to get it. But I want you to remember, you can also get the protein source from food instead of just relating on the protein powder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's been the struggle, right, Isa? So I eat eggs, but I don't want to eat eggs 7 days a week. That's the problem. Like after a while, I get sick of it. So before, a few months ago, what I was doing was I was eating before the workout, and I did notice it was helping. Though I was doing 9 a.m. workouts, not 6 a.m. Right. So then I was eating before. Mm-hmm. So I would do one of the Dave's bread, the thin bread. Mm-hmm. I would toast it, and then I would put either almond butter or sun butter, just a thin layer. Mm-hmm. And I would have that like 30 minutes before I would drive to the gym. Right. Mm-hmm. And I would have that. So it would be about 45 minutes before my workout. And it was great. But the problem was I was eating it every day. And then after 2 months of eating it every day, I never wanted it again. So now it's like, that's the challenge, is when you want variety. Like some people are really good at eating something every day, but I can't do that. I don't want eggs every day.
I'm going to say something that's going to hard to listen. If you eating something every day, which you should never do for years and years, right? But for a while, if you're eating something every day, and you're seeing a great results, you're seeing your body changing, do you think you would be as bored?
No, I guess I'm not. Yeah. I'm not eating it every day, so I don't see the results. Exactly. Maybe if I saw the results.
For the breakfast, I would say one of the easy way to do for pre-workout, it would be the banana instead of the bread. So with the same thing, but I will also put a little bit of chia, and I get oats, regular oats, and I blend them. So they become a powder. So now I have oats flour.
Okay.
Which is the same thing if you go to the store and buy oat flour. Just get old-fashioned oats, blend it, have a jar for that. Have a jar for everything. So now I get banana, sprinkle chia, sprinkle oats, and then put a little bit of peanut butter. Great. Some days I don't even put the peanut butter. Some days I like the banana, and it just like I would eat the banana and a little bit of the what's called the oats. Or some days it could be because pre-workout I want to be heavier on carbs and protein.
Okay.
So the pre-workout would be another one that I use. It's like I always have or yuca or sweet potatoes.
Oh.
Sweet potatoes, a little bit of cinnamon, boom, delicious.
Okay.
And go.
Okay.
Okay. Carbs before training, protein after training. Okay. So that would be another idea that you could use too. Okay.
Okay.
But is that giving you more like ideas and clarity? And that's what I want you to do. Yes. Yes. Just by increasing the protein in every meal that you do. And it doesn't need to be always eggs. Now, let me ask you something. Were you always a vegetarian?
No. So growing up, so my parents were always vegetarian, always, but growing up, since I was underweight and I wasn't gaining weight, someone gave them the idea, oh, you should let her eat meat. Maybe that will help her gain weight. Except when your parents aren't cooking the meat you're eating is fast food. That's not good meat either. So then, I wasn't eating it that often, right? Because no one was making it in the house. So I was eating fast food meat once in a while. So it's not really eating anything good or healthy. So yeah, and then when I went to college, I just became a vegetarian and, always eating the eggs though, because, it's just a good source of protein. But yeah, so I've been vegetarian for a long time.
Perfect. So then you're going to start eating your plant source, right? You're going to start eating your beans.
Yeah.
Even add a little bit of beans on the salad. If you don't have edamame, one day to change a little bit. Okay. So that's the whole plan that you need to go. It's switching for don't depending so much on that whey protein. Okay. Depend so much on the whey and going more for the food, for the rule of one. And we have, and even switching by like putting kale, in your case, and that's what I do with my vegetarian vegan girls, it's anywhere that I can increase 2 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams, 5 grams, I'm using. Okay. Beautiful. That's awesome.
So question for you, because the internet can drive you crazy. Like I like to track and I like to drive towards numbers. So there's a lot of different websites where you can, track, like not track, they'll give you a macro calculator and calorie thing, but depending on the website I go on, I get different numbers. Is there something? And then the other thing I think I put in my messages I struggle with is there's a macro breakdown if you're trying to lose fat, and there's a macro breakdown if you're trying to gain muscle. But I'm like, I'm trying to do both. So what do I follow? Like, what should I be following? Should I be following the lose fat or the gain muscle?
That is beautiful. In your case, that's a great question. In your case, you're not trying to lose weight. You're trying to burn fat. And your game will be, how can I burn fat? Not losing my muscle. In the beginning, you end up losing a little bit, but it all depends on the person. So I do have girls that I say that it's never perfect, but I do have girls that their line of like fat loss is just like going down, and the lean muscle it just stays or even go up a little bit. And you're like, wow, this is textbook. Some of the girls, if they have a little bit more to lose, they would lose the muscle as well. Okay. So it really, the answers is it really depends, but we can take a look right now. So your game is keeping a calorie deficit, but a small one. I would not go over 300 calories. And when I say calorie deficit, do you know which number you need to look for? Beautiful.
No.
So we have 2 numbers. Okay. We have our BMR which is our basal metabolic rate, how many calories we burn at rest, like sitting, not doing anything, like breathing, living. You never, ever, ever, this is so important. You never, ever, ever go under that number. You never go under your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. Okay. So I'm giving an example. My basal metabolic rate, I'm not saying mine. I'm just to say like a regular number. A woman burns 1,300 by living, laying down in bed. Okay. You never go under 1,300. Okay. That's the number one mistake that I see people doing, because now you need to go under the amount of calorie you spend throughout the day. That calorie counts. The energy counts is when you're moving, when you're talking, when you cleaning the house, when I'm walking to pick up the kiddos, when you're training, and when you're taking your steps. That's why the steps is so important, not just for increasing the amount of movement that your body's doing a day, but also for longevity, because that's going to be our main goal in 10 years. Are we moving? Are we walking? So the people say 10,000 steps a day. That was a number that was created, but it's a good number because it's a number that we know that start, especially when we start working from home, we're not even close to that number. We're not even close. So that's the only reason I like that number. Somebody ever, one trainer ever looked at me, he was like, do you know those 10,000 steps were made up? And I was like, I don't care if it's made up. If it's making my girls get up at their butts, get up at their desk and moving and walking, I am happy with the 10,000. So, and that, when we combine all that, that is your daily calories that you spend throughout the day. Okay. Some people would do, let's say that we put all together those numbers, you're hitting 1,600, 1,800. If you take lots of steps and you're active, 1,600. Now you take the 300 out of that number.
Okay. But how do you know what that, so like, you know, that the InStyle thing I gave you has the base, which mine is actually really low. It's only 1,000.
Yeah. Is that okay for the screen?
Sure.
Let's see if I can do this.
How would I know what my total calories is?
I use a software with my client. And I see that the person that did that to you, let me just close this if I can. Can you see the InBody?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So it might not.
So on the right, you see the base.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, 1,088.
It was that a trainer that wrote here? 1618?
Yeah.
That is crazy, a big number. For basal metabolic rate, that's a really big number.
Okay.
So when
I was like, I don't know how I would ever get there.
Exactly. So that was from this to this. I think it was, it was a girl or a guy.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like not saying crap about men, but men will burn much more than us. So, for example, when I was on my best, 2019, that was when I was, remember that I said I was really strong.
Yep.
I was burning at rest 22. But when the people, but I did, in order to do this, I did a metabolic test, which means I lay down on the table with a mask and a breath for 20 minutes, not moving, not thinking, not doing anything. Like almost meditating, like not moving. And when they looked my numbers, they were like, I have never seen this. This is incredible. This is insane. So I was an exception. Okay. For you to be burning 16 to 18, your amount of muscle needs to be so high that you would be able to burn that. But let's say 1,300. Okay. 1,300 is something that you absolutely can go. Isa, how do I burn more calories throughout the day? How can I increase my basal metabolic rate? The amount of muscle you have. Give an example. In your case, if we look here on your skeletal lean muscle mass, do you see that you are on this first square here, the triangle? That means this is low. Okay. That means this is low. The straight line means this is normal range,
Yeah.
average. And here says you above average. So
Okay.
the only way to increase this number right now is to increase the amount of muscle you have. Isa, wait a minute. You're telling me that I can actually make my body burn more calories at rest by sleeping? Yes. I can make your body burn more calories at rest if we increase the amount of muscle we have. We make your body like a fat burning machine. Which is a joke, but it's true. Okay?
Yeah.
If we increase the amount of muscle. I really think he's a little bit off when he said 50 to 60, because that means if we don't gain a lot of weight, that means 50% of your body.
Yeah.
That's a little bit
Hi.
extreme.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Perfect.
So how do you gain the muscle? Is that through the training?
Training and
Okay.
food and rest. One
Okay.
thing that we keep forgetting about, remember what I said? Don't ever train twice a day.
Yeah.
Train twice, strength training. Some of my girls are doing cardio in the morning and strength training at night, or the opposite. They do cardio at night and strength training in the morning. You can do that, but not too strength training. Why? Because our muscles need rest. Remember when I said, when we do the workout, we create, let me go back here. We create little, tiny little muscles,
Yep.
like a micro tears on our muscles, little cuts. Then we eat the protein. The protein is like the workers. They go there, they fix it. But in order to they do this, we need to rest. That's why we don't train leg day twice in a row.
Yeah.
We give at least 24, 36-hour rest in order to do another leg day. So that's the problem with the bunny, is the bunny is hopping from different classes. The bunny is working the same muscles over and over again. And if you work in the same muscles over and over again, you're not giving enough rest. And your muscle is like, screw you. I am not going to grow. I'm going to stay right here, or even I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Good. So let's go back there. Boom. Boom. Okay. So again, through nutrition and heavy strength training, gotta lift heavy. Okay. Once you get to a point that you are lifting consistently, which you are, I would never say that to nobody that is just starting, because if not, they're going to be so sore that they're not going to be able to enjoy. But in your case, it's time to start lifting heavier. Okay. Going to almost your muscle failure, meaning if I give you a 12 to 15 range of sets, I say, here, we need to do squats 12 to 15. You get to a point that you're so tired by 12 to 15.
Okay.
Okay? Beautiful.
Okay.
Awesome. Now, fat mass. Okay. Do you see that okay, found it. I'm like half blind. So you notice that now if you look about your weight, you slightly underweight almost.
Yeah.
Which is you said you feel good. You like this weight. But when we increase the skeletal muscle, your weight is gonna go up because muscle weights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, what women, I will say women, or like a lot of us don't understand, is this is 1 pound of muscle. This is one. Let me stop sharing. We'll do that in an easy way. This is a pound of muscle. This is a pound of fat. It's still a pound, but the size, it's so much different. The amount of volume that I have in fat it's nothing compared to muscle. So when the girls are saying like, my weight is and the scale is not changing, but my clothes are getting looser, that means you're losing fat.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of like you're actually burning fat. You're losing volume, you're shrinking. But the weight not necessarily is the same because we're gaining a little muscle as well. That would be the idea, the perfect idea. That's what I always strive. That's why my girls, I have, as soon as they start with me, I have this beautiful conversation with them. I'm like, look, number on the scale, I do not care. We're going to look at those two numbers, lean muscle, percentage body fat. That's what we care. Oh, no, but the scale, forget about the scale. Yeah, forget everything that you learned so far. Come here. Promise. And then when they start seeing the percentage going fat lowering down, and even the weight's coming up a little bit, the percentage lean muscle is going up a little bit, they were like, my clothes is shrinking, but the scale is not moving so weird. And I'm like, forget the scale. Let's keep it here. Let's focus here. Okay, because that's what we want. We want to get to a point that you will end up gaining a little bit of weight, a healthier way.
Mhm.
Because in order to gain muscle, if you toned, you need the scales need to go up. And even like if somebody just starting, for example, they will gain much muscle way faster than somebody that's already trained.
Okay.
Because they're new in training. They don't lift heavy. So their muscle is gonna just pop up. Okay. So I normally say in the week 2, because I like to how can I say that? I like to anticipate their problems. And I would say, look, week 2, your scale is going to go up. And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, it's okay. We got this. And the week 2 comes or week 3 comes, depending on which person is. So my scale went up. And I was like, I told you so. Just calm down. This now your body retaining more water because you're new to strength training. Your body's retaining water so you can repair your muscles. But eventually week 3, weight's going to go down. So the idea is like anticipating those things, but I love that you're like trying to learn this and trying to work on this. It will change the way you see. Okay, so let's go back here. So again, you see the percentage. It's super clear when you look at the lean muscle. It's so under, and you look the percentage body fat is boom, a little slightly higher. Okay. So how can we do this? Strength training, heavy lifting, protein, rest. Okay.
So what is a good amount of rest? So like if I was doing 6 days of strength training and that was probably for 1 hour, and it's probably too much, right?
My opinion,
Yeah.
I would absolutely look. It's difficult to me to say because if you don't have a plan, in the bottom of my heart right now, if you don't have a plan that would make a good 40 minutes or maybe an hour, okay, from start to finish, well planned, it doesn't matter. I can say it's good or bad. Because if you don't have a well organized plan, you need a periodization. So your plan needs, remember that I said we talk about the bunny and having a plan. A plan it's gonna have you to work on this month. Next month we will switch the plan, but build on top of the plan that you have last month. And now you were getting better on other skills and other muscles. And then now we get those and we change a little bit. So you always an evolution and like it's almost like always evolving. Okay. And then if you go here and if I say like an hour is better, it depends. It depends what you're doing with that time.
Right. Okay.
Do you see? But I would say 5 days a week, it's plenty. And the 2 days a week that you have left, do some active recovery. What is that? It's mobility. It's some people do yoga. It's something that not hot yoga because that is I don't know how you guys do it. I try. I was dying. Like I couldn't breathe. I was miserable the entire class. That's me. Some people love. But like do some walking. Get out, get some fresh air. This is important. This is so important. Getting out of the chair and moving your body. I would absolutely say that. But again, in order to do, I actually right now I only have 2 girls working 5 days a week. Everybody else is doing 4. As long as they
Okay.
do active recovery the next day, they're moving. They're not just sitting and doing nothing. Okay.
Yeah, because even that has been a learning, I'll be honest with you, because I read somewhere, and actually you said it today, and it reminded me where I read it, and I switched my mentality completely after I read it. You can't outwork a bad diet. And that's what I was trying to do. I was like, well, if I hit it hard 7 days a week, then who cares about the junk food I'm eating? But that's not true, right? It's like that's exactly what we talked about today.
But
And that's what I was doing. So I've
did you
really changed my
understand the
outlook.
reason why?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
easier to somebody come here and say, don't want to run a bad diet. But if they don't give you, and that's why until the day that you read, or until today we talk about, you were like, but I don't know, can I really not do it?
Yeah.
And I still have girls that have been training with me for a few months now. We're still hitting the same spots. Like, look, and my goal is, how can I explain this better? How can I explain that more people gonna understand? How can I explain that in a way that they will get it? And I think, were you able to understand the reason why?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of it was what we talked about today. I think the biggest learning for me from today is really the quality of the food and the nutrient dense, right? I mean, I feel like I'm eating healthier, but even these little things that you said, like, add the flax seeds, or add the chia seeds, or, add the protein powder here, and like things I wouldn't even have thought of, right? Or the oat, make a powder out of oats, and just little tricks of sneaking things in. I mean, it makes such a difference, right?
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we're doing this. I'm so happy.
Can I still ask you that one last question though?
Yeah.
So because I like numbers,
Yes.
how do I know, at least so I have a place to start? Like, how would I know what
Perfect.
calorie goal and what macro breakdown
Okay.
I should target? Something. I mean,
say
I know it.
so. There's no one fits all answer. We have
Okay.
to sit and you have to talk, and we have to see how your body reacts, how much calories do you eat throughout the days. But you can do 2 ways, and I can tell you both ways. Okay. So I'm Brazilian, right? So here, the way they break down the nutrition, and I studied both ways. I did my undergrad in exercise physiology in Brazil, and I did my master's here in exercising health. So when I start understanding, it's like the way that both places work here. And it's funny because in Brazil, we study the America diet, which is a diet much higher in protein. So one breakdown that I like I said, it really depends which person is, but I'm going to give you both. One breakdown that you could use is 35% protein. Oh, I'm lying. 35% carbs, 35% fats, 30 protein. Okay. That could be a breakdown. How do I break down that, Isa? Knowing your number, your daily expenditure, you can use Harris is the best formula that I use. You want to write down Harris?
How do you spell that?
Harris. Harris. Okay, Harris.
Okay.
And if you're going to find, just send me a message. I'll send to you. When you break down your day, and normally you have your percentage body fat, but remember this in-body that you have is from June, July. I would do another one. Okay. If you have excess, I would just do another one. So you will get your weight, height, your percentage body fat, and you put in a formula. I have my own formula that I adapted from Harris. So it's a little bit different. It depends for the person that I'm working on. Okay. That's normally to give you that answer, I would spend an entire hour, which is the onboarding that I do with my clients, just asking them questions, just breaking down everything, understand what they do and how they do in the day. Like the little questions that I ask about throughout the day, I would break down your entire day to have a picture of how much how much activity you're using. But I like to use, it depends the person, but if you go to tdee.com, calculator, tdee.calculator, that's one website that I use. Not the best one, but you can use that. Okay. And then you will see your basal metabolic rate. And then you can put activity level. Since we're at desk jobs, I like to put light activity, which is the person that trains, but still sitting all day. And that was going to give you a number. And if you put on the page, they would say, in order to lose fat, you have to cut 500 calories out. Remember that I said I don't cut 500? I cut 300.
Okay.
Why? Because I'm still want them lifting heavy. And if I cut 500, they're not going to be able to lift heavy. They're going to be hungry
Got it.
in a week.
Okay.
Okay. So I will break down the 300 of that and then do the macros out of this, meaning the 30%, 35, 35. Another one that I do, depends on the person. In your case, that one is going to be a little bit tougher because you can use 0.7 to 1 grams per pound. And I say in your case, it's going to be harder because you're a vegetarian. You know, it'll be much easier to get somebody to, I like the 0.8, 0.9 times their weight. So for example, a person of 100 pounds, they could eat 90 grams of protein. If we do that to you, your protein is going to be super high. And it's going to be a little bit tougher to get all that protein in without having to supplement a lot.
Okay.
Do you remember what's the number that you were before when you were like counting your proteins and your macros? Do you have an idea like I was eating 40 grams, I was eating 30, 50, 60?
Yeah, it was probably 30, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying if you increase from 30, so that's what I'm saying. It really depends which person. If I tell you to eat 100, there's no way you can eat 100. And I know this because I've been doing this for so long, like it's 15 years. And some trainers don't get this because they're like, oh, you need to eat a gram per pound of weight. And I'm like, yeah, but if I have a new client that she's on 30 grams of protein and they increase that to 100, do you know what she's going to do? Quit. And that's not what I want. So slowly, I would say if you got to 60, which is still lower than you're supposed to eat, you would start seeing a huge amount of difference. So right now, I don't want you to focus on macros. I'm trying to wrap my brain. How can I explain that in an easy way? If I would go, you were great at project manager. You took time, you study, you went to school, you have a job, you do that every day. To you do your job, it's easier. If I went and do like, hey, let me work with you today and I do your job, I'm going to have the hardest time in the world because there's a science and science, it's different because there's so many different factors. So there's no one size fits all. There's no such a thing. Okay. I can say do 35%, but in your case, it's not going to work because you were different. You were a specific one. My advice to you is get that 30 grams, bump double, go first, which is still going to be hard. Okay. Go first right now, spend 3 days, not changing anything and write it down everything you ate on MyFitnessPal. Don't look calories, don't look macros, just look the protein number. Okay. Are you getting enough water a day?
No.
Buy a bottle of water that it's at least.
Well, how much is enough?
Beautiful question. Get a bottle of water that at least, so I can't say, again, two size fits all. I can't tell you to do 2 liters because that's going to be too much for you because you're 100 pounds. I would say, how much water, do you have an idea how much water do you drink today?
Yeah, so I have a 24-ounce bottle and I probably finish 2, so 48 ounces.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Is it? Okay.
Okay, that's pretty good. Doesn't mean perfect. Okay, so that pretty good means it's much better compared to the protein. Because the protein you're eating a third where you're supposed to eat, the water you're doing a little bit, 70%. I would say aim for 3. If you aim for 3 bottles, that would be amazing. Especially, this is very important. By you increase the protein, you have to increase the amount of water that you drink.
Okay.
Because if not, your kidneys is going to say, hey, I don't like you anymore. Okay? 3 bottles at least and double the protein. Aim for 60. I would spend, if you remember exactly everything you ate yesterday, I would run Fitness Pal, just put it. And one thing that I have to say that we just had a whole class on Fitness Pal this, because I do classes every Thursday with my girls. I put them on a Zoom and we just talk about one subject. Last week was talk about Fitness Pal. If you put cooked rice, 100 grams, and if you put rice, 100 grams, it's going to be 100% difference.
Oh,
You
okay.
have to put, if you measure your food, you have to measure your food. That's the way I do. Some people like to do raw. I don't know why. Okay. Measure your food after cooking and always add the cooked to the My Fitness Pal, because if not, I put two examples. Last class was like 100 grams of rice, 100 grams of cooked rice. One set has 50 grams of carbs, the other one said 17. So now you're like, I am eating double, and actually you're eating half.
Okay.
Okay, so watch out on that. Put it, just log the protein, so you don't get overwhelmed. Log the protein. If you say 30 grams, go for 60. If you say 40, go for like try 70, like almost double. Okay, but if you're already in 50, you can go to 70. Okay, I feel comfortable here. I can go for 80. Comfortable, 90. Okay, perfect. So,
but not too much with the supplements, right? You're saying try to get it more through the food.
yes.
Okay.
Try to really not do the two, at least 1.5. If you have to do two, that's what we need to be more creative. Use more hemp seeds. Use more kale. Like really trying to like be more creative. Okay?
Okay.
But use at least one time after. Yes. And if you want to do a smoothie, that's different. That's when you use as well. Okay? But not solely related to that. But now, if you're increasing the water, that's the only thing you need to do for the next month. And I want to hear back from you.
Okay.
And say, hey, I saw a difference. Again, the more details that you use, okay, faster it's going to be. Okay. But just that would give you a nice, good boost.
What about, so not supplements, but what about like veggie burgers and things like that have protein, but they have a lot of ingredients probably, right? Because it's processed. Okay. So try to eat.
Yeah. Try to eat less of those. Few times a week, go for it. Okay. But now read ingredients. If my rule of the girls is we do a 80-20 lifestyle. That's the only way we can sustain. 80% of the food, I go rule of one. 20% of the time, eat whatever you want. Last night we went for sushis. Like the weekend before we went for burgers. Or the way before we did this, but like it would completely change your life. If you, doesn't mean that you can never eat, no, but try to eat less. A few days a week, go for it. But beyond burgers and stuff like that, they still processed food, if you think about it. If you look at ingredients, I say to the girls, like, look at the ingredients. If there's anything that you cannot pronounce, put it back and find one that you can pronounce all the ingredients. That's a good rule. It's easy.
One more question for you. I know we didn't talk about dinner much, so I try to do lentils or beans, and then I try to do quinoa. But I feel like being vegetarian, lentils and beans have carbs, and then the quinoa has carbs, so it's like definitely more carbs than protein.
Yeah. But if you look the amount of protein in a beans or in lentils, is going to be much more than quinoa.
Right. So I'm having both, but I'm saying, is that okay to have
together?
both? Or I'm sorry?
Together?
Yeah. So I'll do lentils and quinoa together.
Okay.
Is any more tricks on what else I can add to get a boost? Or
same thing with the lunch. Anything that you can add little by little and then combine, you have a bigger amount of protein. Yes, the tofu.
Yep. Okay.
Use the tofu. Use the chickpeas. Okay. You can do stuff with chickpeas as well.
Okay.
But the lentils, and just watch out to don't put too much quinoa. Do you put together at one or you cook separate?
I cook separately and then I mix it together after it's cooked.
Make sure the portion of lentils and beans are bigger than the portion of quinoa.
Okay.
But yeah, right now, just really focus on the protein. It's going to make a huge difference. And do an
Okay.
in-body, do another in-body, like as soon as possible. So you now can compare, because if you don't have the data, like I said, remember in the training,
Yep.
I make for with the girls, I make them write it down, the weights and the reps of each exercise. And they
Okay.
do on the app, so which is really quick because we track. So when we meet once a week, I go on their training and I'm like, okay, let's check the training. Oh, wait a minute. You haven't increased your weight in so long. What is going on? What are you doing the same reps? What's going on? You see? So this way you can find but you need data. You don't have the data, need the data. Get in body, do measurements. Okay, that's an easy way to do as well. To see if what are you doing, it's working, and stick to it. Stick for at least a month. Don't
Okay.
be nutrition bunny. Deal?
Can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
What are your Isa's thoughts on
Thank you.
fruit? Because that's the other thing. I'm being vegetarian. Like I've been reading all these things. Some are like, don't eat fruit at all. It's too much sugar and it's a boost. And some say, a little bit is okay. And some say you should eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. And I'm like, I don't know what I should be doing.
I would go for the fruit. If you, it really depends, and this is very important. Like all my answers is gonna be depend, and then I'm gonna give you scenarios. If I'm a diabetic, which are you a diabetic?
No.
No. If I'm a diabetic, yeah, I have to watch out the amount of fruit that I eat. Okay, because fruit has natural sugar, which is okay. Now, if I compare fruit juice to fruit, can compare.
Yeah.
100% fruit. Why? Because that's a fiber. And remember, now we count fiber as a macronutrient. Boom, right there. Okay. Again, the fruit, it's gonna make me. If I eat the fruit, it's gonna make me more satiated. It's gonna have the vitamins and the minerals. We did not talk about this today, but we have the 5 macros, but we have the micronutrients, which is minerals and vitamins. And if anyone look at me and say, but don't we eat gummies, vitamin gummies for this? And I'm really like, no, we don't. We don't. We absolutely don't. That's not why we eat the gummies, like the vitamin gummies. Okay? So go for the fruit, for snacks. Yes. Because that is not just gonna it has water, it has fiber, it has like vitamins and nutrients that we need. Do I eat 2 pounds of grapes in one sitting? No. Do you see? But okay,
Yeah.
for one food, yeah, 100%. Yes, 100%. And put on the oatmeal. Don't put just banana. Get frozen berries, and you put on the overnight oats.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
100%. I love that you asked that.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm like so excited, and I love have that conversation with you. I'm really beyond grateful. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for including me. I mean, I've been struggling with this for a while, as you can obviously tell. And, you read so much on the internet and then you want to do everything and then you try everything. And the problem is you are doing everything all at once and nothing is working. And, the fact that you chose me, I feel so grateful because
I'm
it's just, you
so
answered
happy.
so many questions. And I just say,
Good.
I feel like I
Good.
have somewhere I can start, and then I can build,
Good.
but at least I can
And you
start.
can build. And eventually, when you're ready, when you have that good foundation, I will eventually get a coach. I'm not saying me or anybody else,
Yeah.
but their job would be to guide you. Okay, you're doing a really good thing about learning, but there's so much that you can learn.
Okay.
It's the same thing as me trying to do project manager. I can learn,
Yeah.
but in order to learn the physiology behind the anatomy behind, and like, do you know it would, and even, and this is a good thing to say too, if you decided to get a trainer, and just ask them the why behind the things.
Okay.
Ask them the why behind the thing. If they don't understand the why, then you look for a new trainer,
Okay.
because their job is to teach you. Their job is to teach you so you can understand and you don't make the same mistakes again. That's
Okay.
their job, not tell you what exercise to do. It's tell you why you're doing that exercise, how to do the exercise, how to eat, why to eat. So this way now you have knowledge and you're like, okay, now I can find any program that I want because I have the knowledge and I know, and I have the knowledge for myself. That makes sense?
Okay. Yep, absolutely.
God, God.
Mhm.
Look, again, it was such a good pleasure. And
Thank-
in body,
Yeah.
measurements, and I want to hear from you for a month now.
Okay. Thank you
Okay?
so much.
You're
All right.
welcome. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.